Good morning and welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose. We're going to start our celebration. So they're a frisky group, so let's quiet them down by giving them a nice round of applause. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Yeah. And so today is a very special day. We're honoring our licensed practitioners. These are people that have trained for about 4 years to be where they are. And many of them have been practitioners for a long time, and some are still in the training process. We also have our outreach practitioner with us today who doesn't actually attend church here on a regular basis. She used to, but she moved far away, and she wanted to keep her license, and she's doing spiritual work elsewhere. So Maria Bucaro, in case you don't recognize her, there she is, is here today. She holds her license here but serves elsewhere. And other practitioners are absent, but they've told me that they are here in spirit. It's such a beautiful group, and we're so honored to have them because they really are the heartbeat of the church. They are the extended arms of the ministry, and their role is to know the spiritual truth of wholeness for all of us. They start with knowing it for themselves, and then that wholeness, that perception of wholeness that is the consciousness of healing extends to all of us. So rest assured that you are embraced in their consciousness of wholeness always, whether you ask for it or not. They are knowing your wholeness and for the wholeness of all beings everywhere. And their primary function is to pray. They pray with people in the congregation. If you haven't had a 1-minute miracle down at the front of the church yet, it's a beautiful experience. It lifts your heart. You know, people tell me that this center is like a bubble, and they come here and they get fed by the bubble, and then they go out into the world. If you want to get even more fed by the bubble, get a 1-minute miracle from one of these beautiful prayer practitioners. Start today. There's like as many of them as there are as you practically, so, you know, you're good to go. Okay. I want to make a few announcements about service pins. There's been give and take about service pins in our movement. You get a little pin if you've served for a certain number of years. So some people have received service pins. Some people probably should have received service pins, but they didn't because it happened in years when they weren't giving them away. But I'm just going to cast all that to the wind and just tell you who recently received service pins. 5-year pins: Annette Bennett, Joan Bergstrand, Kim Bryson, Lonnie Cassidy, Peter Frank, Jennifer Hadris, Bill Hadris, Karen Hillman, Greg Luce, Diane Ruiz, and Mike? Mike? You're not a 5-year. You're not a 5-year at all. What? Yeah. I don't know who this Mike is, but anyway, it's not that Mike. Okay. 10-year pin is Doreen. And 15-year pins: Bernie, Linda Dye, Deborah Gibson, Maggie Hood, and evidently Mike as well. Okay. All right. So now, practitioners, now you are on the hot seat, and I'm going to do some vows with you. I'm going to stand over here so everybody can see you. But you can look at the congregation because it's really your commitment. It's your commitment to me, but it's also your commitment to all of them. So if you would look at the congregation, that would be awesome. And I'll do what I do in weddings when the groom is like staring at me like this. And I just go like that and say, look over there, okay? All right, so practitioners, you stand before us today to recommit to serving our congregation and our vision. Do you promise to be radiant expressions of God's love? If so, please say, we do. We do. Do you promise to reveal wholeness in all things? If so, please say, we do. We do. Thank you. Do you promise to bless the world with your devoted service? If so, please say, we do. We do. Do you promise to honor all beings with your prayers? If so, please say, we do. We do. Thank you. And practitioners, today you have joined together in a sacred act of dedication, which is the outward expression of our inner conviction, which you have already made within your own soul. Through this consecration, you place yourself in a special relationship with your center and with the world at large. You know the truth, and you will reveal it to all who seek, so that they too may be free. And I just want to say on a personal note that I feel so fortunate to serve with all of you. You are all a blessing, and you just expand my heart daily. So thank you so much for being you. And now I'm going to ask all of you, you can stay seated if you like, but you're going to do some promises to the practitioners, if you would. So I ask all of you who are part of this center today, whether you attend here on a regular basis or not, just go for it if you want to. Please repeat after me. Today we acknowledge our practitioners. Thank you for dedicating your life to wholeness. Thank you for dedicating your life to wholeness. Thank you for serving us. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for praying for us. We love you. We bless you. We believe in you. You are the face of God. And so it is. Yay! And so it is, and so we allow it to be as we breathe deeper into the knowing of oneness and wholeness that Reverend Judy brought us to with her wise words. Let us breathe deeply and expand our hearts as we do so, letting go of any tensions, letting go of any getting here, just letting go and being still here now in this perfect moment. This moment that is amplified by our intention to be together. Our intention to be together and know the truth of the I Am presence that lives and moves and has its perfect being through each of us. Together we sing, I am remembering who I am. And as we do, we remember this truth for ourselves, that the I Am presence is the presence of God. We know it for ourselves, that God is within us, but we also know it for all beings all over the world. Together we sing, I am remembering. I am remembering. Today and always we rest in that still presence that is the life of the I Am, that is all things. Let us remember that in our open-eyed state as we breathe in deeply and then exhale, opening our eyes in love with what is, as it is, and so it is.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us. It's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
All right. Well, it's great, so great to see all of you here this morning, and such an honor to be here together on this special day when we're honoring our practitioners. Now, the practitioners that were up on the stage before with their beautiful white stoles, and the practitioners that will pray with you after the service, and the practitioners that stand up when we pray as a community, those are licensed practitioners. But the truth is that a practitioner with a lowercase p is a practitioner in that they practice the principles. So we are all here as practitioners, not licensed practitioners, but practitioners practicing the principles of science of mind. And if somebody asked me what the main principle of the science of mind teaching was, I would suggest that the main teaching is that you either believe that God is all there is, or you believe that God is not all there is. And we believe that God is all there is. That there is this unbroken wholeness that is known as God, that love is the ultimate reality, and that the consciousness, the awareness of God, the awareness of absolute reality, or this unbroken wholeness called love, that this is the consciousness of healing. And practitioners, those who practice the principles, know this truth. And they apply this truth to every single moment that they possibly can when they remember. And it's odd that I'm saying when you all remember, because I remember all the time. I most certainly don't. So wholeness is a big part of this teaching here. It's a big part of science of mind, but I particularly focus on in this church because I think it really is the consciousness from which we can heal anything. When we recognize the absolute reality, and that the absolute reality is this gigantic container that contains all possibilities, and it has to contain darkness and light, the appearance of brokenness and the appearance of wholeness, and it has to contain all opposites. And we sort of navigate the tension of those opposites to draw us into a deeper expression and experience of God. Now, Mark Nepo, in our featured book for this month, for 2 more weeks, The Exquisite Risk, beautiful book, he talks about, he quotes John Bradshaw, who was a family therapist who worked a lot about shame, and John Bradshaw described wholeness as a baby's mobile. Not a baby mobile like they drive in, but a mobile that hangs over their bed, right? So like if you touch the little fuzzy bunny, the little gray elephant over here will start to move, right? You touch one part of the mobile and everything is affected. That's how wholeness is. And there's this incredible interdependency in wholeness. And that's how the earth is, that's how the world is, that's how the universe is. We talk a lot about the butterfly effect here, which is when a butterfly flutters its wings in Tokyo, something happens on the other side of the world. And we're all interconnected in that way. He gave an example in the book of an interconnection that happened in Africa. There was this savanna where the cheetahs would run wild, and they had a great life. And then, just for no particular reason, nobody knows why, this particular seed flew in, and it started creating this sort of thorny, rough grass. And it grew and it grew and it spread, and the cheetahs, being used to running wild through the grass, tried to run through the thorns, and it would poke them in the eye, and it blinded a lot of the cheetahs. And, that was just one tiny thing that affected this population of cheetahs that will affect cheetahs for years to come, and other species on that savanna. Mark Nepo talks about what's the possibilities are for the cheetahs in terms of this evolution. He says that Darwin would say that over time, these graceful animals, the cheetahs, will either grow longer legs to avoid the thorns, change their migration path, in their blindness go extinct, or develop more resilient eyes to survive the cuts of life. Now, it's important to realize that in nature, no one is to blame, And it is also important to realize that in nature, we must adapt to survive. And I think about the metaphor that is for the world, that it can seem like at times there is brokenness in the world, that there are sharp shards of glass that may be cutting our eyes and blinding us to the wholeness that is there. There is brokenness that causes us to feel that wholeness is not real, but can we adapt? Can we adapt to the appearance of brokenness, and can we see the truth of wholeness that is inherently hidden in all things? There is a hidden wholeness in everything, says Parker Palmer. So can we do that, and how do we do that? I think part of it is understanding wholeness, which is the interdependency of all things. What I just said, it's like touching a baby's mobile, right? You touch the little bunny and the elephant jiggles, right? But it's also, and something else, it's knowing about wholeness in theory, but it's also practicing wholeness. It's living as if the truth of wholeness is true. Because you know what? The truth of wholeness is true. We are interdependent. We are completely interdependent on this whole planet and on this whole universe. Now, the good news that I have for you, because I'm here to preach the good news, people, is that there are many, many opportunities to practice wholeness here in this spiritual community. There are many opportunities to practice living as if the truth of wholeness is true. The practitioners are shining examples of that. And I thought about whether or not I was going to, single out one or two practitioners to talk about how great they are, and it was too hard. They're all really great. But then I had this gift. On Friday night, because I knew I was going to work on my talk on Saturday, one of the practitioners came to me in a dream. It wasn't a nightmare. It was a dream. And it was a practitioner that is no longer with us. It was Judy Rogers. I know. So for those of you who don't know who Judy Rogers is and was, she was a practitioner here for quite a while, probably 5 or 6 years or so. She was one of the first practitioners that I trained when I got here. And she was extremely devoted, extremely proud of being a practitioner. She was she had her own struggles. She struggled with her weight all the time, and she was basically deaf as a post. And she knew it. And she just had this spunk and this wit about her. The most famous Judy Rogers story is how she lied to AOL to get out of a contract. Evidently it's really hard to get out of an AOL contract, and she really wanted out. And she, back and forth, 3 or 4 times, 5 or 6 times, whatever it was. And finally she was so frustrated that she said to the phone tech, "I cannot use this product anymore. You have to realize I cannot use this product anymore." And you could feel the phone tech gathering up her arsenal of things. "Oh, no, we'll give you this, we'll give you that." And so the phone tech asked, "Why can't you use it?" With her excuses already. And Judy Rogers goes, "Because I went blind." She was in practitioner training at the time. I'm like, Judy, I think we need to have a chat about that. Truth, the truth cannot operate in a lie. And, truth is like a muscle that you have to practice, But anyway, that was who she was, very spunky, and also, again, so proud to be a practitioner and served at such a high level, and she was so wonderful. And, in this dream, she came to me, and it was amazing. She was fit, and she was healthy, and she looked great, and she had a tan, and her hair looked great, and she was quite a bit younger than she was when she passed. And I thought she could hear, and I knew it was her because I said to her, "Judy, can you hear me?" And she goes, "What?" And then she started laughing. So I knew it was her. And, I think that the reason I thought about why did she come to me in this dream at this particular time? I think about her a lot, but I haven't dreamed about her ever, I don't think. And she came to me because I think when Judy was here on this earth plane, she was serving, and she was just putting one foot in front of the other, and we certainly did appreciate her, but I don't know that she knew how meaningful her service was. And I think that's really the purpose of death, actually, is to show us that life is precious and that whatever we do in life is precious. Particularly if it's fueled with that intention of love, as it is for our practitioners and for all of you who practice the principles. Our life is precious. And so what if we could serve from the consciousness of wholeness, of recognizing that the work that we do is precious, the service that we provide is precious, and most importantly, that it makes a difference. I think one of the main reasons that people fall off the spiritual path is that they believe that they are working in a state of futility. When really, if the butterfly effect is true, if it's true for the cheetahs, it's true for us. Every tiny act of service that you do has some unseen drop in the bucket of good, and everything you do makes a difference. Everything you do makes a difference. We can feel the difference first in our own soul as we serve from that place of generosity, but we can also start to eventually, if we train ourselves to look for it, see the ripple effect of the service that we provide that ripples out into the entire world. Right? One of the opportunities that you have to serve and be served is through participating in one of the ministries here. We have these beautiful ministries that have been in place for a long time, and more than several months ago, but a while ago, some of the ministry leaders came to me and asked, can we make the ministries more visible, because I'm not sure if the congregation knows about everything that we have to offer them. And we offer these ministries to you if you would like to serve in them, but we also offer these ministries to you if you would like to be served by them. Okay, there's a Circle of Blessings teams that will help you by driving you to doctor's appointments if you can, or bring you food if you need meal support for times of illness. There's all kinds of teams. There's an outreach team so you can participate in being with others. Actually, can I have all the ministry leaders stand up, whether you're a practitioner or not? Just stand up and let us see you. Yay. Right. So these are your new best friends, okay? These are your new best friends if you would like to serve or be served. And also Jennifer, where are you? Jennifer, what do we call you, Jennifer Luce now? Jennifer Luce, okay. Jennifer Luce is the volunteer coordinator, and she can help you. If you have a need to be served or a need to serve, you can also see Jennifer, or also see the lovely and talented Annette Bennett, right? And the thing about service is that we all do a little thing at a time. There's a story that took place, say, years and years ago when they were building cathedrals in Europe. And the story about these 3 builders that were making a cathedral. And this man decided to, pre-CNN, decided to interview these cathedral builders. And he went up to the first one and he said, what do you think about your job of building this cathedral? And the first guy said, it's really hard, but I need the money. I got to do it. It's just, I have to do it. I show up every day and I do it, but it is really hard. Then he asked the second man. And the second man said, it's a hard job, but I really appreciate the ability to support my family. And it provides me with that privilege of supporting my family. And then he approached the third man, and the third man put down his trowel and he said, oh my God, I'm building a cathedral. This is something that is going to last for generations to come. People that I don't even know are going to sit beneath the ceiling and sit between these walls and sit in this space and worship the highest and best in humanity. Do you see what I'm doing? This brick that I laid is part of that. Now, which do you think is the healthiest place to serve from? The third one, of course, knowing that everything that we do is part of that service. Every hand that is held by the Circle of Blessings is part of that service. Every fun activity that's done by the High Spirits Ministry brings more joy into the world. Every blade of grass that is picked from our gardening project. Have you noticed the nice lawn that we created? Okay, there was a little snafu with the grass. By the way, speaking of service, does anybody have a team of goats or a flock of guinea pigs that we could bring in to eat up the grass? Because I don't think we can wait till Christmas, okay? But anyway, any blade of grass that is picked out is helpful as well. And everything contributes. Everything is building this cathedral of wholeness that we are building together that shines its light into the world and truly makes a difference. I cannot stress that enough. The work that we are doing here blesses the entire world. It reaches out to everyone. So there's serving from a place of consciousness, a place of wholeness, a place of well-being and peace. Another thing I'd like to bring up is the idea of giving, of generosity from a place of wholeness. Now, you may have noticed, for those of you who have known me for a long time, is I am not one of those ministers that talks a lot about money. I do that because I feel like every time I do, in the past I've said, like when I say something smutty up here, I get in trouble, and I feel like sometimes the congregation comes after me like the Frankenstein extras with their pitchforks and their scythes. But I feel like sometimes when I talk about money, those in the congregation that are reluctant to have a minister talk about money feel that I am like a flesh-eating or wallet-eating zombie. So I'm like, coming after your wallet. Yeah, run for your lives. So I don't talk about money a lot, and that's probably my own lack of skill, because money's really important, and it's really important to get a handle on it because it causes so much stress in life. But I do have some thoughts about giving from a place of wholeness that I'd like to share with you today. One of which is to acknowledge what your stuff is around money, what your fear is around money. I think sometimes people think that when ministers talk about money, it's because they're greedy. And I do hope that you all have noticed the Rolls Royce that I have parked in my parking space, which looks rather like a Honda Element encrusted in mud and dog hair. But it's a Rolls Royce to me because it serves my needs and I love it. But, I'm not particularly greedy, I don't think. I don't know, maybe about chocolate, but not so much about money. But, I think the other thing is that people who struggle with money often fear that they are not enough and that they're not giving enough. And to me, it's always not how much you give, but how you give. Can you give money with that cathedral consciousness of knowing that whatever you give is enough? I encourage people to stretch a little past their comfort zone to stretch them, but also to understand that their stretch is enough. Actually, it's the stretch that is important. It's not the amount. And every dollar is part of that, building that cathedral of wholeness, because your dollars allow us to do our good work in the world. There's more to this story, too, because every dollar that is given, we tithe on. We tithe 10% on all of our offerings. And so your dollar has reached around the world. You don't know this, you may not know this, but that's how life is. You don't know the ripples that you're causing. Everything that you give reaches around the world. And I'm going to read you a list of some of the places we've given in the past 12 months. We've given to Food Share, Homes of Hope, which is building homes in Mexico. We've given to a mental health organization, NAMI. Step Up Ventura, which is a place for homeless children. What? Preschoolers, sorry. Thank you. Mercy Corps, we gave to Mercy Corps in response to the Aleppo situation. Turning Point, which helps homeless people get back on their feet. We've given to Spark, which is an animal shelter. Casa Pacifica, safe haven shelter for abused families. Spay and Neuter Network, Gold Coast Veterans, the Police Dog Foundation, and the Bethel AME Church, which is an African-American church that was undergoing some bigotry, so we gave to them. So you see how your dollars have reached around the world? And I know we have a board meeting this afternoon after the service, and I know that I'm personally going to suggest that we donate to some of the things like Puerto Rico and Texas and Las Vegas, the funds that are set up for those. Because this is the power of this. This is the power. The first power is knowing that whatever you give goes and blesses many. But the other power is that it is living like the truth is true. Because all along, since all of these things have been happening, since all of these incredible disasters that have been happening, and the shooting in Las Vegas, there are many of us who are quoting Mr. Rogers and saying, focus on the helpers. Right? And you're supposed to tithe to that which inspires you. So if you're tithing to a disaster, does the disaster inspire you? Not the disaster per se, but the people who are helping. We are tithing to the people who are putting one foot in front of the other to help those who are in need. And so we focus on the helpers in that way. And one of the best ways to focus on the helpers is to become a helper yourself. And through your tithe, through your giving, whatever it is, you are focusing on the helpers. So it's really important, no matter how much you give or how little you give, to recognize that you are part of that. And what that does for you is that it starts to expand your heart in abundance. And the amount doesn't matter. You get that in relative reality, right? Amounts are very significant. There's big and there's small and there's up and there's down. But in the absolute, all of those words have no meaning. There is no small in the absolute because small has to be compared to something. There is no big in the absolute because big has to be compared to something. It all just is. So whatever you give just is, and it is making a difference in the world through the consciousness in which you give it. Does that make sense? So was that too scary for anybody? Did anybody feel like I'm a zombie going to eat your wall? Okay, good. All right, good. All right. So we connect with the heart of humanity in our giving and in our service with that cathedral consciousness, building a cathedral of wholeness. The last thing I want to talk about, this other new program that we're introducing in the church, is this heart program. Ta-da, look at that. Isn't that cute? People over the years have mentioned to me that they feel that sometimes it's difficult to incorporate new folks, visitors, or people that are attending for the first time into our congregation. You know, that we all know each other pretty well, we're pretty rowdy, and sometimes it's hard for a new person to break into that, or a relatively new person. And, you know, I've been told that people are scared of the social hall. I'm scared of the social hall. Because it's really crowded and it's really loud, and I'm an introvert and I'm kind of shy. So, you know, I've been here 14 years. I'm working on it and I'm getting better, but it's been a slow process. But anyway, we thought if we would invite people who are new, if they want to place one of these little hearts, then that would be an invitation to be approached by people in the congregation for conversation and for getting to know you. The call to all of us who have been here for a while is to look for these little hearts and exercise our friendliness and our warmth and our generosity of spirit and approach people that are wearing these little hearts. And we'll see what happens. You know, my biggest fear is that everybody's going to want a little heart, and then everybody's kind of defeats the purpose. And you know, if that happens, that's fine. I'm not going to begrudge anybody the hearts because they are quite adorable. I'm really tempted to take this one, but I'm not a new person exactly. But you know, if everybody starts wearing a heart, then we'll all just talk to each other, and we'll give the newcomers a certain color heart, and then you'll know what that is. So don't hold back on the hearts if you really feel like you need one. But the other thing about these hearts, the thing about these hearts that I love so much is that they are made by the women who live in the slums of India. And they are made and given to us for free if we want to, but we donate to them. So that's another way that your donations go around the world. We give to these people in India who make these hearts. And they are so eager to serve us in this way when we don't even know them. The person who runs it, her name is Meg, and she's written me and said, you know, we're really excited to see how the hearts go in your congregation, and please do tell us any stories of connection that happen through the hearts, because they really want to create this ripple effect of knowing good coming through small acts of generosity, like creating these hearts. You know, this was somebody's clothing in India. This was somebody's sari or somebody's, you know, whatever, chamise, and it's made into a heart. It was the clothing was woven, then it gets made into a heart, then it gets sent around the world, and these are all over the world. I was just reading about the hearts in Dubai this morning. You know, changing people's lives just through a little tiny act of generosity, through this cute little tiny heart that is hopefully going to engage us into greater conversation and greater relationship, right? But not only that, we will be relating from a place of wholeness, because we will be connecting with one another, but as we connect with one another, we are secretly connecting with the women of India and all of the other people in all of the other countries that wear these hearts. So will you play with me with the hearts? Yes? Okay, good. Excellent. Yay. All right. So one thing I forgot to say about the brochures, we have a bunch of them. So if you want them, these were lovingly written by everybody involved in them. They gave me a questionnaire, and I edited it, and Cheryl Ostrander helped me. We have the brochures. We weren't sure if everybody would want them, but we have them up there on the altar if you'd like to take one and know what's available for you, either to serve or be served. Please feel free to come up on the stage and get a brochure. And that's a really good thing, because when you're up there, we're going to trap you and force you to have a prayer with one of our practitioners. So girls, get on that, right? Okay? Yeah. But other than that, it's, you know, this morning is really just about knowing that We really are in this together, and we have an incredible opportunity here in this center. And I think that we have an incredible opportunity in this center because A, our practitioners are so magnificent, our board is magnificent, the minister is not too shabby, our choir is magnificent, thank you, our staff is magnificent, everybody, our band is magnificent, and then there is this incredible congregation that is just over the top magnificent. You guys are incredible. So would you give yourselves a round of applause? First of all. There is such great heart and such great wholeness, and with that in mind, I'm going to close with a Mark Nepo quote from the Exquisite Risk book. Because, we were talking about those cheetahs that had to either adapt or die, and he relates it to the human experience. And he says, as the human spirit faces unexpected change, the human heart will either grow longer legs, change its migration path. In its blindness, it could go extinct, or it could develop more resilient eyes to survive the cuts of life. Most life forms have little or no involvement in how they will evolve. As humans, we do. It's both a blessing and a burden to participate in how our children will be born and grow. Yet in our life now, we can only be aware and fully engaged, for nature will grow our legs or not, and perhaps our collective wisdom will change our path, and our stubbornness will surely blind us, but our devotion to life on earth just might give us or our children more resilient eyes. May you have resilient eyes. May you have the consciousness of wholeness. May you be practitioners of this beautiful teaching. Let's do that now, and let us pray. And so I turn within to recognize and receive the beauty and the love and the power that is God. That God is all there is, that God is living and moving and having its being right here, right now, in this sacred space. That God is everywhere and that God is crystallized in here for us, living through me and through all of us. I unify with that presence right now. I trust and know that it is my own, and as I know this for myself, I know it for every single person sitting in this room. And as I use the word I am or I am not speaking about the individual I am using the collective I, the I that includes all of us. The life of spirit here expressing on the planet Earth, spirit becoming matter so that matter may become spirit. And so right now I know that I am holy, I am healed, I am serving, I am making a difference, I am giving generously, I am enough, I have enough, I do enough. I am extending past my comfort zone though. I am celebrating friendships and relationships. I am creating a cathedral of wholeness with my friends and my colleagues and my partners and even my enemies, even those that seem against me. We are all in this together, creating this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful temple, center, church of wholeness. And I know that my greatness is great, that our greatness is great, and that our light is so bright that it shines out and blesses the world. I know that we no longer are terrified of that bright light, that we absolutely trust it and we know and we accept and we claim our greatness and we allow it to lead us into great things, into great being, into great service, into great generosity. Because the greatness is the Spirit of God moving through us, and we get our smaller selves out of the way and we just allow that to happen so that life unfolds and unfurls perfectly and beautifully and wonderfully. And we cultivate those resilient eyes so that we can see the power and the presence of the Most High in even the lowest situations. I'm so grateful, just so grateful for this spiritual truth that has been spoken this morning, so grateful for everything that has transpired, all of the seen and unseen things, all of the tiny acts that have happened behind the scenes, everything that has brought us here to this present moment where we can celebrate the goodness and the divine and the love and the power that we are. And with a heart that is so filled with gratitude, I bless all paths to God. Churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams. I bless all beings, for all beings are a blessing. And now, in this state of blessedness, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, God. And I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, And so it is. I am so blessed.